Hi there, my name is Manola Barlow. I'm the Diversity Coordinator at the Manitoba Nurses Union, and I direct the Canadian Culture and Communication for Nurses program. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our program that will enhance some of the materials online. So this information is for students that are interested in the program for April to June 2016. First of all, it's important to tell you our program goal. The Canadian Culture and Communication for Nurses program, also referred to as CCCN, you'll often hear that acronym, is passionate about delivering quality online and blended programming to internationally educated nurses, also referred to IENs, who need to improve their communication skills in English in order to both enter and integrate into the Canadian healthcare workplace. So I want to just talk a little bit about things that you need to enter the Canadian workplace. So in order to enter the Canadian nursing workplace, what is something you need? Now, if this were interactive, we would have different students saying, first, you need to complete an NNAS. So NNAS is National Nursing Assessment Service, the huge application that people need to complete as a first step to licensure. Okay, I would go back a little bit and say first, the first thing people need to do to enter is to find out what exactly the requirements are to gather information. Right? So some of that information might be gathered by attending programs like ours, or going to places like Manitoba Start, collecting information from different immigrant service providers to see what you have to do to enter the nursing workplace. The Canadian Culture and Communication for Nurses program also has webinars that walk through the nursing process, because if you have found out some information, you'll see that it is a complicated process and there's many considerations to make, right? You need to gather information about what is an LPN, so a licensed practical nurse, what is an RN, how are they different, do you want to apply for both streams at once, or do you want to apply for one? You also hear the term RPN, so registered psychiatric nurse. What's that? So first step is gathering some of that information, but we're helping to enter. So as a part of that NNAS application, you're wanting to prove language proficiency, and usually that's done either by providing your CELBAN score or an IELTS result. Now, if you're hearing this for the first time going, what is a CELBAN score? You can find a lot of information online, and on our website, there's plenty of information about different things. There's links to the regulators in Manitoba, and you can always contact us directly as well. So I'm not going to get into the details of the licensure process, because frankly, that's a separate webinar. But we want to help people accomplish the first step, which is proving language proficiency, right? If people can't do that, they can't complete that NNAS application, and they can't be licensed as a nurse in Canada. Right? But we don't want to just prepare people to pass the CELBAN or to pass an IELTS test, right? That is a part of what we do, and an important part of what we do is making sure people have those skills and training people to that competency in English. But we want to do more than that. So nursing in Canada is so much more than a CELBAN test and being successful in that, right? There's a lot of other things to consider, and a lot of other things that are really important. So understanding the Canadian nursing culture is equally important, if not more important, than the language. So you can't just focus on one thing. So we always say, yeah, our program absolutely prepares people for CELBAN if people are willing to put in the work needed to do that. But it's not solely for that. We like to think of it as beyond CELBAN as well. So what are the next steps people need to do? You know, they're preparing for their clinical competency assessment. What are things they need to do for that? They need to do an OSCE. They need to do a role play. They need to understand some of those cultural values like patient-centered care and how that impacts patient-centered care. So we try to talk to our students about that as well. So kind of two major program goals is that we're wanting to improve people's communication to enter, but to integrate as well into the Canadian healthcare workplace. Often when people come to Canada and immigrate, they have different expectations, right? So perhaps your initial expectation of what Canada would be like or what Winnipeg would be like when you were back home is most likely different than it is now, right? So some of those assumptions and expectations might be similar, and you say, yeah, I thought it would be cold, and I'm right. It is cold. But some of the other things, like I thought it would be easy to become a licensed nurse in Manitoba, might not be the case, right? So often we see people and they say, you know, I thought it would take 6 months for me to become a registered nurse once I arrived in Manitoba, and it took me 3 years or 4 years. So sometimes that pathway to success isn't always the straight line we wish it was, unfortunately. Life is messy. So a lot of times people find themselves in the confusing part of success, and they might be questioning themselves, wondering, you know, am I on the right path? Am I doing what I should be doing? Is this going to work? So we just want to recognize that it is difficult for many internationally educated professionals, nurses included. It is not an easy process. And what I often say to people is, you know, it's good to recognize what those struggles might be, and then to look at how are you going to deal with some of those struggles, right? Are you going to talk to your family that the process is actually going to take 3 or 4 years or 2 years, not the 6 months you thought it might be, right? How do you need to change some things in your life to deal with that, and the potential loss of income as well that is associated with that? So we want to acknowledge that it isn't always what people thought it would be, and the path to success is often different. Right? More often than not, it's not that straight road that's, you know, no problem. I see many IENs are very successful, but they put a lot of work into doing that and into pursuing their career. Some different modules that we have in the Canadian Culture and Communication for Nurses program are 3. So we have Module 1, which is more of a foundational English program. So Introduction to Nursing Communication. It's set for a CLB, or Canadian Language Benchmark, of 7 or equivalent. Okay. Module 2 is Intermediate Nursing Communication, and that is set for Canadian Language Benchmark 7 or 8 or equivalent. Right. So if you have an IELTS, ICELBAN, CELBAN, a LINC score, a teacher's report from an English program you have attended, you can submit that as a part of your entrance requirements to our program. Module 3 is our Advanced Nursing Communication program, and it's at a CLB level 8 and higher. So it's our very advanced class, and a lot of the program there focuses on Canadian cultural communication skills needed in the Canadian workplace here in Canada. Each of those modules are 12 weeks long, and online they require about 5 hours a week of online lessons. So you're reading through online material, you're doing your assessment tasks, you're posting questions on the discussion board or thoughts on the discussion board to students and to instructors. And you might be attending classes on site as well. So there are different options for our students to participate. So some students are online exclusive, so they're participating solely online because their schedule might not allow them to participate in a blended on-site class. And some students are participating in blended classes, which means they're also participating in on-site classes as well as completing online activities. The core of the program is our online program, and that is where the bulk of our lessons are. It is not optional to complete the online lessons. So if you're wanting strictly just a face-to-face class, this is not the program for you. A little bit about the CCCN team. So I introduced myself earlier. I'm Manola Barlow, the program director. You will receive emails from the administrative assistant, Christina Kizik, and she'll be sending probably quite a few emails your way regarding timeframes for you to complete and different requirements and announcements that come up through the session. Our instructors, our online instructors for Module 1 is Desiree Mercer, Michelle Amaya-Torres, and Irene Lepke. And Teresa Chirilla is on site for Module 1 in Winnipeg. Module 2 is Elizabeth Nightingale, Stephen Sachin, and Teresita again is on site for Module 2. Module 3 is Debbie Craker and Lisa Bout, and Teresita, again, is one of the on-site instructors for Module 3, as well as Linda Olson, who teaches in the evenings. Our speech-language pathologist is Lisa Hargraves, and our RN consultant is Linda Olson. Okay. Guadalupe Camerlinga is in charge of the platform. And we also have some other consultants that we work with. So there's a total of about 13 individuals that work with us. Now, a little bit about CCCN student expectations, as I said, all students, so blended and online exclusive, are expected to participate in weekly online tasks within the online community. And like I said, that's about 5 to 8 hours a week. We expect all students to complete weekly lessons, assignments, and learning reflections. So that doesn't mean to say that there might be some weeks you fall a little behind on your lessons, but generally we encourage students to try to keep up the pace with doing something every week. That is basically a better system for learning, is to learn frequently rather than waiting until 3 weeks into the program to dive into the materials. They'll just be too much for you to do and you probably won't be able to catch up. We also expect that students communicate with their classmates and instructors online. So we use the term online community. So all of our students are part of an online community, just as you live in a different community. So we have students all across the province of Manitoba, in Winnipeg, maybe some in Winkler, in Notre Dame, in Selkirk, in Nipawa, from all across the province. So they might participate in their physical community, but we want you to participate in your online communities. So if you have questions about maybe an event happening, post it in the discussion board. If you read a lesson and you were thinking about the topic maybe all week, you were talking about patient-centered care, and at work you observed something that you thought, what that nurse did was very patient-centered, or what the doctor did was very patient-centered, and you're wanting to share a story, post it on the discussion board. If you have, any questions and comments, we just encourage that interaction. So that interaction is what's going to help you improve your English communication skills. So the more you do it, the better you will become. right? So, you know, doing that, whether it's written or if you're, you know, doing a video recording for that discussion, both are excellent practice, and we encourage both. We also, every week, students should be doing lessons, right? Completing assessments, writing learning reflections, and attending synchronous class. So you might say, what's a synchronous class? I've never heard that term before. Synchronous just means live at the same time. Okay, so our on-site classes, F2F, so face-to-face, is one option for synchronous classes, real-time classes. Another option are our online classes. So that takes place in a variety of ways. Some students might be on Skype. Some students might be participating in our website in a live class, which shows video maybe similar to this, where you can interact with your students and instructors. So again, it all depends what your time frame is like, what your availability is like, and what your goals are, right? So if your goals are to improve speaking and listening, but maybe you're not able to attend a face-to-face class, maybe because of location or time schedule or preference, online is an excellent way to do that. So you have video options, audio options, and the focus in those synchronous online classes is that you're working on speaking and listening skills. And again, we also want you to be contributing to discussions on the website. We also have webinars that you can participate in. Sometimes the term webinar is a new term for people. So you might see it and think, well, webinar kind of sounds similar to seminar, and you would be right. So a seminar is, again, often thought of as an in-person session. A webinar is, as you may have guessed it, on the web, so on the internet. So it's a synchronous session done online that people can register for, and we try to focus on different nursing related topics. So for our spring 2016 session, we have 5 different topics that we're going to focus on. Patient-centered care, the process of becoming a licensed nurse in Manitoba. So for those of you that have lots of questions about that, don't worry. We'll have a webinar for that. Friday, May 27th, we'll have a standardized patient session. June 8th, we'll have a shift-to-shift report webinar. And last but not least, on June 16th, we'll have a critical thinking skills in nursing webinar. Okay. Our website is always updated with a list of webinars. So be checking back on our website just to see if there's any new announcements, if there's new information, or again, a new list of webinars. So that will be posted soon, and you'll be able to register for those webinars. So keep up to date with that, and you can see what new things are coming our way. And then getting started. So there's a lot of information that comes to you when you first join our program. And we don't want you to be overwhelmed. What we want to do is we want to equip our students to be successful, right? And successful in our program. So part of it is doing videos like this, and also creating prerequisites that ensure that you have the skills to continue in our program. So first thing we want you to do is to go to the CCCN website. So the link is here. If you go to cccn.manitobanurses.ca, it opens a site. I'm sure you've been there before. That's probably how you registered. But in case you forgot, again, that's cccn.manitobanurses.ca. Register for the for the program if you haven't already done that. So some of you might be seeing this video on YouTube and maybe you haven't yet registered, so go there if you haven't yet registered and you're interested. Go through the website to see if there's any new information. If you have a login, log into your account If you're wondering, what is my username again? What is my password? And you can't find that email, not a problem. Just click on forgot your username and password and make sure you use the email that you used to register for the program. And you'll get sent a new password and your username. So the system will send that to you. If you're having problems with that, just contact us directly. And there's contact information on the website as well. After you log in, under your list of courses, you will see CCCN Prerequisite Course. Go through all of the documents in that course. Please make sure you read through them carefully and follow the instructions. It's really important you follow the instructions here very carefully, or your computer might not be set up the way we need it to be to make sure everything works the way it should be. So complete that course and follow the instructions within that course. On April 4th, we're going to have an online meet and greet with modules 1, 2, and 3. And so at that point, you'll be able to meet your online instructors as well as some of the other students that will be learning with you this session. And you can see details in the calendar for when that will happen. And you'll also be getting an email again from Christina about when those sessions exactly will take place and the link provided to those sessions and information about the meet and greet sessions. And then the last one will be accessing your online materials. So on April 4th, if not a little bit before, you will have access to the course content. So if you're enrolled in Module 1, you'll have access to Module 1. If you're enrolled in Module 2, you'll have access to 2. If you're enrolled in Module 3, you'll have access to Module 3, or if you're enrolled in Accent Training, you'll have access to Accent Training. So the first thing is to make sure that you complete the prerequisite or you won't have access to those other modules. So again, if you have any questions, please contact us. So that's all for now. I'm sure you'll have questions as you go through the course content and different things on the site. Again, we are here to help you guys, so don't hesitate to contact us. You can pick up the phone or send your instructor or technical support an email or Skype message. So we're very available for you, and we look forward to learning with you this session. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.